Hi, and welcome to Bane's Bites. I'm Bane. Today we're going to be making something new, something you may not have had, and something I've made a name for myself with for friends and families across the state. Down here in Texas, we do a lot of Tex-Mex, and you can't go to any good Tex-Mex place without a big bowl of chips and some fresh salsa. Hopefully it's fresh at least. But a couple years ago I went to a restaurant where they brought out something different. They brought out a big bowl of chips, they brought out some fresh salsa, and they brought out a little bowl of jalapeno ranch. Absolutely loved it. Decided to go home and figure out how to make it. I've been making it for about 10 years now. People absolutely love it. I can't go to a party, I can't go to a gathering without bringing this awesome, fresh, and super easy to make dip. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. We'll show you how to make it at home, we'll show you how easy it is, and remember, when you're making this dip, doesn't matter what you like, you make it your way. This is just a guide on how I make mine. You can follow it or you can improvise, but keep in mind that you make this however you want. Let's jump on in. First thing we need to do on this jalapeno ranch is get our jalapenos roasted up, get the skin crispy, and sweat them out so we can get some nice roasted jalapeno flavor. What I've done here already is I took our jalapenos, and I've got 5 here because I like some heat. Any of these recipes you can adjust your way. If you don't like heat, you can take the seeds and stems out, and we'll show you that in a bit, but 1 or 2 jalapenos will go a long way, 5 or 6 will really get you where I like to be. Put them on a lined sheet pan with some foil down. Get a little bit of vegetable oil or avocado oil, some kind of oil with a high smoke point. Get them coated up like I've already done here. And we're going to get the broiler fired up, and I'll show you how to roast them at home. We've got the broiler hot. We're going to put these jalapenos in under it to char them up and get some good smoky flavor. You want to put them in here on the top level, so right up under the broiler they get nice and crispy. This won't take very long, so we're going to watch them real close, flip them as they go, and as soon as the skins are brown and black and a good char on them, we're going to take them out and I'll show you. We'll throw them in a bowl, cover them up, and let them sweat for a few minutes. Brisket's been supervising. What do you think, pup? Think they're about done? Let's take a peek. All right, you can hear the jalapenos crackling and popping. Let's go ahead and take one more peek. Down in here you can see they're starting to crisp up and char, so let's go ahead and give them a flip, rotate them over. Get the other side nice and dark, and we'll go from there. All right, as you can see, we've got them nice and black and charred up. So what we want to do is get them in a little bowl, get them covered up with some plastic wrap, give them 5 or 10 minutes to sweat and let that skin separate so we can peel off the char and enjoy what's underneath. Now this took between 5 and 10 minutes, checking them every 2 or 3 minutes, rotating them as needed, flipping them over. But once you get here and you've got a good char, lots of blisters on the skin, you can hear them crack-a-lacking there in the oven. You hear that snap, crackle, and pop, you know you got a winner. So let's get them covered up. We'll let them rest here for 10 or 15 minutes. Let them sweat out. So while we're letting these jalapenos sweat, let's go ahead and get some of the other ingredients into the blender and ready to go. We're going to start with some green onions. And again, this recipe is really nice because you make it how you like it. Not the way I make it unless you want to, but you make it however you want. Add as much as you want, as little as you want, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to be using the green sections of 1 little stalk of green onion. And again, I like onion, I like garlic, I like strong flavors. So let's go ahead and get those broken up. Once you get the green onion in, the next thing you need is some fresh cilantro. I've got some here I've rinsed off and let drain. I'm going to go ahead and pull a big handful off, get it cleaned up. We'll get it thrown into the old blender. Alright, so we took some of that cilantro, we pulled off some of the leaves from the stems. You just want the leaves, and we're going to make sure it's nice and dry. Just use a paper towel, get it dried up, and again, this is about a handful. If you like cilantro, add some more. If you don't like cilantro, cut it back or omit it completely. It doesn't really matter. Best thing about this recipe is it's amazing, but it's really easy. Anybody can make it, and you can make it the way you like it, so don't forget that. So we've got our green onion in there, we've got our cilantro in there. The next thing we need is a couple cloves of garlic. We've got our 3 cloves of garlic. They're cleaned up. The best thing about this recipe, again, is the blender does all the work. There's no need to sit there and mince garlic. And if that's all you have is a jar of minced garlic or a tube of squeezed garlic paste, whatever you like will work. I think our jalapenos have been sitting long enough, so let's go ahead and take a look at these and see where they're at. So you can see our jalapenos have had some time to char and set, and all we're going to do now is tear the tops off and do the best we can to separate any of that blistered skin that's on there and remove any of the bad char flavor. Since we let them sit there and sweat for a little while, this skin comes off pretty easy. It peels right off, not a big problem, and a little bit won't hurt anything. It doesn't taste bad, it's just not what you're looking for. You want to get these jalapenos nice and sweet with a good smoky char flavor. So we'll get these cleaned up. I'm going to go ahead and throw them in the blender and we'll go from there. Alright, we've got our jalapenos all peeled up, and like I said earlier, if you don't like the heat, if you open one of these up, you can see all these seeds and ribs in here. That's where the jalapeno really gets its heat. So if you don't want the heat that comes with it, you can open one up, grab a knife, and scrape all that out right there. And that'll cut the heat way back. Clean up those clean up those seeds, clean up those ribs, and this will give you the flavor without all the heat. But I love the heat, so I'm gonna go ahead and add all these in just as they are. I'll take all those good stuff I scraped out, throw it right back in. Now let me wash my hands, because the worst thing you can do is work with fresh jalapenos, roasted or not, and then touch your eyes, touch your face. I've learned from experience it's not what you want to do. So get our hands washed up, get things cleaned up a little bit. I'll show you the next steps. All right, let's move on. So we've got our fresh ingredients here in the blender. We need to add some liquid so that when we turn it on, it can all mix up into one awesome dip. So I'm going to add a good squirt or two of some lemon or lime juice, whatever you have on hand. I prefer lime. And then a large tub of sour cream. You can use reduced sour cream if you prefer it, reduced fat. You can use Greek yogurt if you want to cut back that way. But if you really want a showstopper, I wouldn't recommend skimping. Go ahead and go for the original. Let's get it all in there, and we'll work it down in the blender and work it up smooth. We'll go from there. So once you get things starting to mix, you can make sure you get all the rest of it in there, get all your sour cream. You got everything blending into one, kind of scrape the sides and work it a couple times. But once you get everything starting to go, the next thing you need to make the jalapeno ranch taste like jalapeno ranch is some ranch seasoning. So I've got a big container, but they sell individual packets, and for a ratio like this, one of those 1 ounce packets at the store works just about perfect. So you just need about an ounce, a couple spoonfuls, and again, to your liking. If you really like ranch, you can add 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. If you really don't like ranch, add 1 and let other people, you'll pick it up. So we'll get all these things in, let them mix up here in the blender, and we'll see what it looks like. So now we're going to start tasting it, getting it right to where we want it. I gave it a taste, and it definitely needs a little bit more lime juice. And before I finish it up, I want to make sure I add just a little bit of salt, since there's some in the ranch seasoning already, and a good healthy dose of black pepper. Get the lid back on, blend it up, and go from there. Now we've got jalapeno ranch right where I want it. We're going to go ahead and finish it off with the last step. And all of this is optional. You can leave it just the way it is. Again, you can do it with Greek yogurt, whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you and your friends. What I like to do is pour it out, get it into a bowl, get that bowl scraped down really good, and then to help thicken it up, enrichen it just a little bit, and this is why people always ask me to make my version, is we're going to add some mayonnaise in there to give it a little bit more consistency and a little bit thicker, richer flavor. So we're going to take some mayonnaise, add about half a cup, 3/4 of a cup. We'll get our spatula back out and mix this by hand. You don't want to do this part in the blender, because the blender will break that mayonnaise down. So you want to do this by hand, make sure it gets mixed in real good. And the last step with this jalapeno ranch, and it'll really take it from where it is now to where it should be, is cover it. Put it in your fridge and let it sit for at least 3 or 4 hours, if not overnight. Let those flavors come together, and you'll find that in 3 or 4 hours, and if you have the time overnight, this will also go from really good to amazing. So we're gonna get this covered, throw it in the fridge, and enjoy it here in a little bit. So it's been a couple hours. Sunday night football games are coming up. We've got some people coming over, and I can tell you we are about to chow down on this jalapeno ranch. I've been making jalapeno ranch for a couple of years now, and fresh salsa a couple of years past that. And once I learned how to make this, came up with this recipe and showed it to all my friends and family, I can make as much fresh salsa as I want, put it next to a nice fresh bowl of chips, won't get touched. This jalapeno ranch is a knockout. You'll kill it at any party, any barbecue, anything you want. Once you make it, people will be coming back and asking for some more. So let's give it a try and make sure it came out just the way I want. That's the stuff. Thanks for logging in and watching. We appreciate it. Like and subscribe. Y'all have a great day.
Love it every time.